Hey everybody, this is a video that I wanted to do to kind of briefly go over the Cue Demon CNC and the Cue Demon CNC XL that I produce. This particular machine is going to a gentleman named Mike Davis. I just finished up this one and I kind of wanted to show a proof of life video, which I always do whenever I produce one of these machines and I sell it. I always do a video with the name. In this case, it'd be Mike Davis, and of course the date, which is August the 1st, 2024. And I'll do this to kind of, again, show proof of life and a brief explanation of what the machine is, what it can do, and the functionality of the machine. Now, what I'll do is, I'm in the office now, but what I'll do is I'll turn the camera around and we will walk into the shop area and I'll start and briefly go over the layout of the machine and its basic functionality. So give me just a minute to get this camera turned around and we'll walk into the shop area and I'll be able to show you more about it. Okay, now let's go into the shop. And this one, again, this one's going to Mike Davis. This is the Cue Demon CNC. And this is the XL version, which is actually the only version that I sell now. I did offer one that was a little bit smaller, and I may offer that one again upon request. But overall, this is the better of the two. It's an upgraded design. To kind of briefly, and I mean briefly and vaguely, go over this machine, you have your XYZ, A, rotary, and pump switches, and this is your parallel port. And then over here, you have your X-axis stepper motor. Over here is your Z-axis stepper motor. Right here is your A-axis or rotary axis. This is the pump for the spindle. And this is the water-cooled spindle. And underneath the machine, you will see the Y-axis. And then you have a tailstock, which can be adjusted where you need it to be. And you can also adjust this A-axis and position it where you need it to be. Now let's change over and I will put the camera on my stand and we can go through the process of showing you how it runs. Give me just a moment. This one I just completed and it is going to Mike Davis. Today's date is August the 1st, 2024, and I wanted to show proof of life and kind of briefly go over the machine, both the XYZ and A axis, along with the pump and the spindle as well. And I wanted to kind of, again, just briefly go over the machine real fast and the basic functionality. Mike Davis, congratulations on your machine. Appreciate your purchase. I just finished this one up and I'll be getting it out to you ASAP. Now, to begin with, if you look down at the controller, I know this is going to be kind of far based on the camera point of view, but when you turn this on, you have your main controller here. Now, it's not going to live here naturally. You're going to put it where you need to, but for convenience and for video purposes, I put it on top of the machine. I put the cue here to give you a reference of the sheer size of the machine. Now, the first thing when turning it on, what you want to do is you'll see and you can't see it with the camera, I'm sure, but you'll see a pump, a VFD, then a power button, and then a power emergency stop. Over here, you'll see a run and a reset or stop. These buttons down here, which is 6, give you the option to set up the machine for different parameters, which really isn't relevant to you at the moment. The first thing that and you want to do this in order. The first thing you do is turn the power on. First, make sure that the emergency stop is turned and it's popped out. Turn the power on. When you turn the power on, you want to check your axes up here. Make sure you have tension on all axes, your Z, your Y. Under here, you have another axis. You check that one, and then you have an X axis over in the far corner. Once that is checked, then you want to turn on your VFD. VFD stands for variable frequency drive. Turn that on, and you'll notice that these lights will eventually turn on. You'll hear the machine or controller activate, and then using the software that I use to set these up is CNC USB. This gives you the ability to go from a parallel port to a USB port, which is satisfactory for most computers that you use today. However, you can use a parallel port to parallel port and Mach 3. I use Mach 3 generally, but when I sell these machines, I sell them with CNC USB with the choice to use Mach 3. That will be entirely up to you, but it's much easier to use CNC USB simply for the sake of setting it up and activating everything, especially for the new user. Now, again, once you receive your machine, we will set a time or a consultation time, and I'll spend a couple of hours with you on the phone and help you set this up with either post processor that you like. Now, when it comes to post processors, again, you can use the CNC USB, which is much easier to set up, or you can use Mach 3, which takes a little bit more time. As far as creating your designs, such as your inlays and your pockets and your points and ring work and stuff like that, you want to use a CAD CAM software. And the CAD CAM software that I recommend is going to be through a company called Vectric, and I would recommend the Aspire. Vectric Aspire, well, that's their top of the line, and it's going to cost you a little bit more, but you don't have to have Aspire via the Vectric company. Vectric has lower grades of software, with the only limitation really being the size of material that you can machine. Now, to move forward, let's show you that everything works. And again, I just put the Cue here just for a reference size. Brief explanation. Over here, you have your rotary axis or your A axis. Over here, you have your spindle. This is your Z axis stepper motor. Underneath the machine in the back, you can't see it, that is your Y axis, makes the machine go forward and backward, or rather along the machine. And then on the other end of this gantry, you have another stepper motor, that is your X axis. It makes it come forward and away from you. Now let's demonstrate those using the CNC USB. If we want to check the Y axis, sorry, early in the morning, check the Y axis first, and we'll notice that that works just fine. And that's running at 75 inches per minute. And we'll do that again. And we'll take it back. And then we'll check the X axis. Nice and quiet, smooth operation. And you'll notice that is also running at 75 inches per minute. Which is, you'll never need to run 75 inches per minute, but at least you have the capability to. But it's very smooth, very quiet operation. Now we'll check your Z axis. And you notice that works just fine. And then over here, we're going to check your rotary axis, which is your A axis. And that works good as well. And then we'll verify that the pump works. Now, this is a water-cooled spindle, so this pump would be submerged in a container that would consist of a mixture of water and antifreeze. Typically, I mix 3 gallons of water to 1 gallon of antifreeze, and that will last you quite a while. You put the water in, you put the antifreeze in the water to kind of reduce any kind of slippery slime, stuff like that, that you would accumulate over time. Because what happens is when you have a water cooled spindle, the water is pumped in through this, just like an aquarium pump, just beefier. It pumps out of this and cycles itself through into these 2 tubes. It comes in one tube into your spindle, and it keeps the spindle cool for long durations of activity. And then it, of course, pumps it back through and it comes back into the container that you have the solution in, and it's forever cycling it through, keeping the liquid mixture cool as well. So let's verify that the pump is working, and you have a pump switch, a dedicated pump switch on the controller, and it says pump. Just hit that and listen. You notice that your pump is working just fine. Now, that is pretty much a proof of life video for you, Mike, and I do this with every machine that I build. And once it's shipped and you receive it, we'll set up a time and we'll go over it. Take a couple of hours, and I will be with you throughout the entire process until I feel like you're ready to be kicked out of the nest and you can do it on your own. So go through the shutdown process. You shut it down in the opposite order in which you turned it on. So turn off your VFD first, then turn off your power. No need to mess with the emergency stop unless something happens. If your machine is getting ready to crash into something or something like that, then you just smack that button. It shuts the entire thing down. But you just have to remember that before you can use it again, you have to turn this to the right so it deactivates the emergency stop. And again, I would recommend starting off with USB CNC, or rather CNC USB software, and then migrating to Mach 3, because it's just easier to set up. It's a lot simpler, or more simple post processor to use. There is a learning curve with this machine, as it is with any CNC machine, but it is not that drastic. There's no need to fear it. I know a lot of people think, oh God, CNC computer codes, I'll never figure it out. Yeah, you can. It's not as bad as you might imagine. Either way, I just wanted to show you a proof of life video and the completion of your machine. And once again, congratulate you on your purchase of the Cue Demon CNC XL. I hope you enjoy it, and I feel that we're going to have a pretty decent journey ahead of us. I'll reach out to you, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy. Thanks a lot.